gradually loses power before finally stopping in the middle of the forest again. But at the exact same time, the situation inside the carriage becomes even more chaotic. Jenny, who is now fully transformed into a werewolf, finally breaks free from her restraints and immediately attacks her own husband, Ged. In the middle of the panic, Kate uses the chaos as an opportunity to untie Adrian so they can both escape from Jenny. However, the situation only becomes worse when another werewolf suddenly breaks into the carriage. Since Kate is standing closest to the door, the creature instantly grabs her and drags her out of the train. Adrian briefly tries to hold on to Kate's hand, but because he is too terrified of losing his own life, he eventually lets go and abandons her to the werewolf. Meanwhile, Adrian finds himself trapped inside the same carriage as the fully transformed Jenny and slowly runs out of ways to survive. Jenny begins approaching him little by little, while Adrian can do nothing except wait helplessly since he has no weapon and nowhere left to escape. Fortunately, just before the situation turns fatal, the train, stopping once again, causes Joe and Ellen to head toward the rear carriage to investigate what happened. They arrive just in time and successfully kill Jenny before Adrian becomes her next victim. After everything that has happened, the number of survivors continues shrinking rapidly. At this point, only Joe, Ellen, Adrian, and Billy are still alive. Suddenly, two werewolves manage to break into the train from the rear carriage. Realizing they cannot survive much longer inside the train, Joe finally decides that their only option is to escape into the forest together with Ellen and Adrian. Unfortunately, just before they can carry out the plan, Adrian's true selfish nature appears once again. In order to save himself, he deliberately attacks Joe so the werewolves will focus on him instead, giving Adrian and Ellen enough time to escape. Joe does not stay silent and immediately fights back against Adrian. Seeing Adrian's selfish betrayal, Ellen quickly joins in to help Joe. However, in the middle of the chaos, Adrian manages to escape the carriage first and grabs the key still hanging near the door, leaving Joe and Ellen trapped inside without any way out. At the same time, distant howls begin echoing closer and closer as the werewolves slowly surround the area around the train. Just when the situation becomes completely hopeless, Billy suddenly appears and tries to distract the creatures by throwing a burning torch at them. Joe and Ellen immediately take advantage of the opportunity to force the door open using the crowbar Billy had given them earlier. Unfortunately, Billy's bravery comes at a terrible cost because he becomes the next target of the remaining werewolves and ultimately turns into another victim. The situation only grows worse from there. More howls begin echoing throughout the forest, revealing that the number of werewolves is far greater than anyone originally imagined. Realizing that their chances of survival are becoming smaller by the second, Joe finally makes one last decision. He chooses to become a distraction so Ellen has a chance to escape.
Ellen, run!
Joe, no, come on! No.
Not long afterward, a pack of werewolves arrives and completely surrounds the area. Joe continues fighting despite knowing there is almost no possibility he will survive. Eventually,